Today, we're joined with Rob Shavell, the CEO and co-founder of DeleteMe, a company dedicated to helping individuals reclaim their personal data from the internet. Rob has been a strong advocate for privacy rights, supporting key legislation like the California Privacy Rights Act and the Delete Act. His expertise has been featured in major outlets such as the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, NPR, NBC, and Fox. Under Rob's leadership, DeleteMe has partnered with the Land Trust Company to enhance privacy protections. Rob is a graduate of Cornell University and a respected voice in the conversation around digital privacy. Rob, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to learn from you. There's so many things that we can tackle today, but let's start off with the basic question. What inspired you to start DeleteMe?
Well, I have to think back to that time. It was so long ago. Let me try to remember. No, just kidding. Look, when we started DeleteMe, and we being myself and two much smarter MIT engineers, we had the idea that all of this is around 2010. So about 150 years ago in tech years. I think they're even more than dog years. But everyone was talking about social media. Everybody was excited about Facebook and sharing data in the cloud. And we got together and said, hey, look, not all of this is going to be good. Some of it's great and it's exciting, but not all of the repercussions are going to be understood. And for lack of a better word, we said, hey, this isn't really about security per se. It's about something different. It's about your privacy. Who has control of your information, where it's being stored, and how it's being used. And that we got excited enough about that to try to start a company. And fast forward a short 14 years, and here we are.
There we go. I'm kind of curious, 14 years ago when you started, what was the public's reaction to data privacy? Was it a thing? Did you have to help educate the market? Because it was kind of new 14 years ago. Like you said, it was kind of, those are a lot of years. Those are dog years, if you will, in the tech industry.
Yeah, yeah. So I think the definitely in the beginning when we started, the people that were most interested in privacy were more technical. And the reason I think that is because the technical people understood what was happening with data at the database level. And they kind of picked up on this whole thing more quickly than you and I would, because they understood how software was being used to manipulate data, to take it in and out of databases, and to use it for various things that maybe we wouldn't be so comfortable with. So they were a lot of the early adopters back then. And I'll tell you another thing: the investors were not excited when we went to pitch investors. Many of you may have seen Shark Tank. We did those kind of pitches, right? And a lot of the investors told us, "Hey, no, privacy is not a thing. Privacy is dead. My daughter, my son, they're all on social media all the time. They don't care about privacy." But times have really changed in the last, more than a decade, and a lot more people. And I hope for this partnership, many more people are waking up to the fact that privacy matters, and who is using their data for what has real impacts on what they're doing, what their family is doing, and many more things.
Mm. Well, speaking of the growing threat that's happening today, in today's digital world, what are the biggest risks individuals face when it comes to online privacy and data security?
I think there's the nuisances, the risks today, and the risks tomorrow. So let's go in that order. The nuisances we're all familiar with. We're getting spam calls and spam emails. My personal least favorite is text telemarketing and things like that. Those are just nuisances. They piss us off. And I was reading a statistic that I think 95% of text messages are read, but only 37% of emails. So they're getting us right where they want us, where we're putting most of our attention these days, and that makes privacy of your cell phone and other ways to contact you more important, just from a reducing the nuisance standpoint. From a risk standpoint, today there's all kinds of things that you might not want uh, your information widely exposed for. Number one, legitimate marketers and advertisers are buying it and using it to do more kind of price testing and other kinds of things, experiments with your data. Number two, cyber attackers are out there trying to get at your accounts and defraud you and your family. And number three, a lot of us sometimes have unwanted contact from uh, whoever in our past lives, or people that are trying to find us for reasons that we may not really want to deal with, and that can range from former employees or school contacts to uh, exes, and all kinds of other things. And so I think that that's another nuisance, sort of being harassed by people personally that we really wouldn't want to freely share our latest personal contact information with. And then the last category is, what are the risks around privacy in the future? And I think I'm going to talk, well, we may talk about it more, but I'll just leave it at AI. We've all heard about AI. We've all heard how it's going to revolutionize everything and turn the world upside down. I think one of the big impacts of AI is it's going to be better at finding patterns than humans ever were. And what it needs to find patterns that relate to us personally in our lives is our personal information, to correlate all that data with us. So I do worry about AI as a potential threat and a privacy issue on a go forward basis.
Gotcha. I do want to ask you more about AI here in just a second. But going back to the data part, and how data is being used, and you mentioned text messages. What are some other red flags that someone might see, like when their data is being misused? Like we're getting text messages, emails. What's another red flag of like, hey, my data has been compromised?
Well, certainly phishing attacks, if you're getting these specific kinds of emails and texts that are asking you to log into somewhere, or pick up a package, or redeem a account. And a lot of times we're seeing these things cross over between your work world and your personal world, because people, hackers and so on, are able now to figure out from these data brokers and other places where you work and what your job is, and then where you're living and who your family is. And by putting those puzzle pieces together, they're able to use impersonation and social engineering to make these spoofing attacks effective and get at your accounts or get at your employers' networks and things like that. So that's another area of risk that we're seeing happen, where the work world and the personal world sort of intersect.
Mm, very good. What about data brokers? For someone that has never heard of data brokers, what they do, can you give us a background on who they are, what they do, the good, the bad, the ugly? There's good data brokers, there's bad data brokers. Can you kind of educate us on what a data broker is?
Sure. I think there's okay data brokers, there's bad data brokers, and there's really bad data brokers. But to each his own. Data brokers is just a widely used term. It doesn't really particularly mean anything scientific, but it generally refers to companies that are aggregating our information without us specifically having a customer relationship. Okay. So, for example, if you go to a website like whitepages.com, we've all heard of the white pages, or people at least of a certain age, maybe not my kids, have heard of white pages. They have some vague recollection that there used to be a phone book. And there's many, many others, hundreds of them, Spokio.com and Tellius and Radaris. And I won't go into, there's a whole list on our website, joindeleteme.com. But the point is, these guys are experts at buying our data, aggregating it into profiles about us, and then selling those profiles to anybody that wants to buy them. And most people buy them in bulk. You can buy them individually. You can search for pretty much anything you want, from a home address to a cell phone to a mother, find out very personal information like family names, maiden names, children's information, dates of birth. They're getting all this information from many different places and they're aggregating it and selling it. And they're doing it without our consent because we never signed up for an account at whitepages.com and gave them all this information. They just bought it from other places that we've signed up for. So that's sort of the definition of a data broker.
Mm. Who, with all that data that is exposed, it's crazy to think about. Your mother's name could be out there associated with you, and cell phone numbers, past addresses. It's absolutely amazing. Now, who's most at risk? Is it certain groups like homeowners? Is it investors, business owners? Who should be especially concerned about their exposure?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I mean, our customers come from literally all over, and we're protecting so many of them. It's hard sometimes to figure out who's most at risk. I would say that uh, there are there are different categories of at risk people, and some of it depends on your life stage, right? If you're about to buy a house, and I know a lot of our partnership is people in that situation, you're about to give out a lot of your financial and and sort of personal information, and of course lock in a place where you hope to be living for a long time. And all that disclosure of information can wind up in the hands of these data brokers that we're just talking about and be used for all kinds of purposes, some legitimate and some really bad. And I think if you're just the act of buying a house at that life stage where that home buyer is at is itself a higher risk for privacy, and that's obviously why we're excited about this partnership. But there's many other life stages. You can think about it from a child all the way through to to being an older retiree, and each one of these life stages has different risks. When you're a child, a lot of people are now contending with bullying and things that come out of the online gaming world, and then mixing that with schools, and then keeping that your personal information of your family offline has become more important to many parents, and many school systems are facing these issues and come to us asking for help. Once that child graduates to college, and goes to college if they have the chance, many colleges and universities are looking at what personal information is out there about prospective students, because they don't want to admit the wrong people with the wrong information out there online. It's not always a privacy issue, but it can be. And then when you go to work and get your first job, hopefully, this is assuming, of course, that all the steps in the process go as planned. That's another time where privacy and risk becomes really important, because your employers may be also making sure that your credentials and online profile are relatively low in on the digital footprint side, and you also don't want to attract the attention of fraudsters and others that might be looking at this information and trying to figure out how to defraud you or monetize it or whatever. And it goes all the way up through and through. We're seeing a lot more you're buying not just a house, but a car. We're seeing a lot more automotive data creep into these data brokers. They want to know what kind of car you have, exactly the model, where you drive it, location data. The list goes on and on. So I would say that while certain things you do at certain life stages make you at greater risk, everyone today can be a target.
Mm. Now, you mentioned our partnership together. DeleteMe has partnership with the Land Trust Company, and it's a partnership we absolutely love and adore. It almost creates this 1-2 punch for privacy and protection, if you will. DeleteMe is our data privacy shield. And Rob, can you tell us about DeleteMe? What do you do? How do you protect? Tell us more about the company and what it does.
Sure. Well, our we have a service, and I prefer to refer to it as a service rather than software. So you sign up for our service, and you fill out some information about what personal data you want removed from online exposure from these data brokers. And that would be very basic things like your current home address or your future home address, your past addresses, your emails, not just your personal email, but your work email, cell phone number, relatives' names, spouses, that kind of thing. And we go out, and it takes a good 5 minutes if you're a decent typer, and you fill in this information, and you really do that so that we can make sure to find everything that we can, so we can scrub as much of it off of the web as possible, using various processes. And you fill all that in, and we say, look, sit back and relax. Our privacy advisors you're in good hands. Our privacy advisors are going to take care of this, and in about a week you should receive a report. And sure enough, we try our best to send you a report in about 7 days, and that shows you everywhere we found all of your data by searching thousands and tens of thousands of combinations of searches at different places, to really go deep and make sure we can find all of the places where that information is being listed and sold by these marketers, by these data brokers. And then we go about the process at each place we find it of requesting the removal or the opt-out of that information from all those databases. And we do that all year long to make sure that that information stays as low profile as possible, and as much of your digital footprint, as they say, is removed from places where people can buy it and take advantage of it as possible.
Mm. Who really benefits from it? As I think about it, it's not just business owners or the wealthy. It's also first responders. There's judges. Then there's who else would you say really benefits from DeleteMe services?
Well, gee, I mean, there's so many. Yeah, we protect a lot of law enforcement. I mean, for obvious reasons, law enforcement's on the front lines of places where people might want to look at their name. They know their location because they're interacting with them, and be vindictive, either harass them or threaten them or whatever. And there's that behavior has always been going on, but it's going on more these days because we have a very aggressive online society now that's more polarized. So yes, first responders, law enforcement, folks like that, definitely in need. There's a lot of different nonprofit groups, and I would say different kinds of groups, like, for example, the National Network to End Domestic Violence. There's a lot of victims of domestic violence out there that have stalkers after them. They're looking for their home address and things like that. There are many different advocates for different political causes that are at risk because the wind blows one way, the wind blows another way. There's controversy, and the list goes on and on. And I would say there's just so many of these use cases out there that when you're sitting at DeleteMe in my seat, you're just sort of amazed at how broad the need for privacy protection really is in our country in this day and age.
I could only imagine. I know personally, I'm a client as well. I love seeing my data being scrubbed. I love those quarterly reports that I get to see, my name, being pulled off the different data brokers. Question for you about what you do not delete. What are some of the things that, I've had people ask me for, does DeleteMe scrub my social media off? I have a personal brand. I'm a realtor. I want my stuff out there. So Rob, what do you not delete?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked, because we don't do a good enough job setting this one aside up front as a fear that people have. People are saying, "Hey, look, I have a reputation online, and I need to maintain that." We never delete anything that you've created that you might want kept online on the web for any reason. So we don't. That's a third rail for us today. We don't really touch that information. In a future state, we might offer you the opt-in opportunity to remove some content that perhaps isn't flattering or whatever. But today we really don't do any of that. We focus on just these bad actors, these data brokers that are out there selling your personal data that have aggregated from other places. So that is our sole focus. So over time, we hope to help you monitor more of the information you have out there at any database and become more broadly relevant to all of the information, the digital information that you have anywhere, no matter what it is. But no, the short answer is DeleteMe doesn't delete anything that you want online.
Gotcha. Very good. Now, going back to our partnership, we're excited that DeleteMe is a part of our offering with a TripleShield Protection Plan. What excites you about the partnership with the Land Trust Company, and how does it align with DeleteMe's mission?
Well, there's so much fraud and risk occurring today around your home. And there's so much more information tied to your address and yourself than has ever been available before, because these data brokers have gotten better at getting it. And people are using it for all kinds of purposes, not just marketing, but cyber attacks and threats and harassment and all kinds of other stuff. And so this is a really exciting partnership, because in my view, this always belonged together. This was always like peanut butter and jelly. I mean, it really needs to be part of the process that every home buyer and every homeowner should consider. And I wish I had known about this a few years ago when I bought my first house. And I'm kicking myself that we didn't have the partnership in place then. But yeah, this is this is relevant today, and it'll be more relevant tomorrow. So very exciting to make this happen. And between the Land Trust Shield and the ability to conceal and be anonymous around that moment where your address transfers in the public record to a trust, and then making sure that data is cleaned up online on a continuous basis. What a great combination for anybody that wants more peace of mind.
No, fantastic. And speaking of continuous, can you touch on the continuous data removal? I think it's important to realize, and I kind of had this epiphany just this week of how data brokers work. Just because you scrub it once doesn't mean that it's going to come, that it's gone forever. What happens to data brokers? Why should we scrub it once, or should there be this continuous proactive outreach?
Yeah, unfortunately, to be effective, you really need to be continuous in today's day and age. And the answer is something simple and obvious that we all know, which is we're all creating more digital data about ourselves all the time at a pace that is only accelerating. So when we download a new app, when we fill out another form, to make a transaction, all of that data is now recorded and correlated to us. So unfortunately, when we don't read those terms of service and we click right through whatever it is that we're doing because we need to do it, some of that information ends up being purchased by data brokers and goes right back in to those same databases we removed you from. So the way to be effective is to be vigilant, and this is precisely why we created DeleteMe as a ongoing subscription. And it is precisely what the data brokers relied on not happening. They relied on people at most scrubbing their information once and then forgetting about it, because nobody has the time to be relentless and vigilant, except for companies like us. So that's why we exist, and they didn't think this was going to happen. So yeah, it's really important, and unfortunately, there's very little way to stop uh, new information from flowing into these guys because they have their tentacles in so many different places.
Speaking of the future, I want to touch on AI. We mentioned it earlier as we were chatting. Where do you see the future? Where with AI and data correlation and data collection, it's all growing so rapidly. Where do you see online privacy heading in the next 5 years?
Well, we've got more privacy laws in 2025 than we've ever had before in the US and across the world. So that's a silver lining piece of good news from my perspective. Everyone out there almost has more rights. Now, there's dozens of states still that don't have privacy legislation, but many of them are considering it, and there's a good precedent now. So I think we're going to see more laws, maybe a federal law, uh, and those laws give everybody more rights, right, to oversee their data wherever it's held, to correct it if there's mistakes in it, or to delete it. Uh, and the next step is to create a market to make those rights that those laws enable easy. And that's really where we come in, and other competitors to DeleteMe. We help make those laws enforceable and easy, because without the ease of use, it really doesn't matter how many rights you have if you don't exercise them, and very few people have the time to exercise them. So when it comes to AI, I think we're going to see more AI laws that help protect citizens, just like we've seen more data privacy laws. And I think we're going to see some pretty crazy data breaches when it comes to AI as well. People using these tools like ChatGPT in ways that we didn't imagine, to get data out of them that we never knew was there. Because remember, when they suck in all this data about all of the knowledge of the entire internet every 6 months or whatever. By the way, I don't know if you knew this, but it cost them, like, I don't know, billions of dollars to just run one of those suck all the information on the internet upgrades to these generative AI models. It's just like crazy. But once they do that, it's almost impossible to figure out what information it knows, and it's only going to get crazier. So I think we need regulation, and we want to be very careful about what information we're giving out personally when we're logged into one of these LLMs or things like ChatGPT. And DeleteMe is adding into its regular services over this year and coming years the features to opt you out of having that personal information be used by these companies. And I think that's one of many things we're going to keep innovating around and adding to our service, and not raising the price, by the way, which is something that we're proud of. We like to continue to add, not just work all year long continuously, but add more privacy functionality and protection all throughout the year for the same price, much like your Netflix subscription, which I think actually just raises price.
I think so. It tends to go up, but no, I love the added value to DeleteMe, and being on the forefront of innovation with that. That's awesome. Now, final thought. My last question for you is this: if you could give one piece of advice to someone just learning about data privacy, what would it be?
Uh, it's a great question, and I would say, don't give any single company you do business with everything. I think that's the best piece of advice I can give, real simply. And what do I mean by that if it's not clear? Okay, you got an iPhone. Okay, are you using your iCloud account and then using Apple Mail and then using iCloud and this and that and every Apple Watch and Apple Health? All of a sudden, Apple's got a whole lot of information. Oh, and then you're using Apple TV and right? You see where I'm going? Apple's got a whole lot of information about you, more than you might ever imagine. And Google's trying to do the same thing. Amazon's trying to do the same thing. They're trying to know everything about all of us. And by the way, they all have investments in AI. Surprise, surprise. So I don't mean to be a conspiracist. They're just trying to build their businesses, right? But we have to remember that one strategy is to not is to sort of compartmentalize some of the things we do. So if we have a streaming media service and we love Netflix, great. Let's not stream all our stuff through Apple TV and have an iCloud account and have an Apple email account and everything else. So don't keep all your data with one company. I think that's the easiest, a single answer for somebody just looking for a basic recommendation in data privacy that will be effective.
There you go. I know that's very valuable because I'm a big Apple guy, and so I need to go back and reevaluate.
And by the way, Apple's better at privacy than a lot of these other companies.
They've been a little more forefront, I think. But anyways, Rob, thank you so much for this conversation. This has been very, very insightful. And for those that want to learn more about DeleteMe and how it's a part of the TripleShield Protection Plan, visit landtrustcompany.com. Rob, thank you so much for being on here.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.